Yeah, I'm still not sure about the causal mechanism. I mean, is it just that the concentration of income was such among people in the financial sector that they just increasingly speculated whatever and they drove the financial crisis? You seem to downplay either the sort of standard of overproduction under consumption argument, and people are trying to sustain their living standards, so there's the debt balloon and the farm, and and the others of the Brenner argument, this sort of falling rate of profit, and there's financial inflation because you can't make money in real production. But just come back to the central argument. I mean, why does the rising inequality give rise to the financial instability? I mean, what's the causal?
Well, I have to say, I try to avoid linking the inequality and instability in causal terms. I mean, the argument I guess they really are the same thing.
Right.
So that it's a question of an indicator rather than something which is so clearly it's a cause. Coming back to the sort of deeper question of causes. I mean, Brenner is not to be dismissed too lightly, but I think one has to take the whole sequence of things together very carefully. And I would put sort of four things into play here, and this is way beyond my evidence base. This is a sort of narrative exercise. One is the increasing cost of resources, which actually begins to emerge in the 1970s and then is suppressed for 20 years by the very high dollar and then commodity collapse in the rest of the world. So the U.S. gets 20 extra years of easy living that we already knew in the 1970s was not going to go on forever. What's the reason for that? The oil starts being offshore, it's no longer coming cheap and easy from West Texas. Okay. Second thing is the great decline in our ability to impress the rest of the world with our power. Again, another illusion that we could kick the Vietnam syndrome. And it turned out the Vietnam syndrome was not something that could be kicked. The rest of the world understands that a very big, very expensive military force does not enable you to control other people's territory very much. We've learned that now, I think. Of serious instruction on that. Third thing is, I think clearly the technology, the nature of the technologies that we have. And I want to stay a little clear of all of this Bob Gordon, is growth over kind of literature. But it seems to me really, which I think Bob's got an interesting point. Mine is a little different. Mine is the nature of these technologies that the labor saving. They are like all technologies. This is a way business can cut its costs. And businesses does not normally gets a new technology, it doesn't wipe out its labor force. But if it's wiped out its labor force because of some other event, like a collapse of demand, you're going to be very careful about hiring them back when you can find machines that will perform the functions. And that, of course, is what's happening there. So I think what one should expect is what one observes as a big decline in the labor base of the private sector. And then you get all those things. That is a squeeze on profitability. And when you have target rates of return and a squeeze on profitability, there is a wonderful solution that will work for a certain amount of time, which is called cooking the books. And that's financial fraud emerges because there's a demand for it. And then is exposed and
well, that seems an appropriate big picture way to end a very provocative and important presentation. So thank you all for coming out, and thank you, Professor Galbraith, for